Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing the weekly horoscope for the 3rd of February to the 9th of February, and we're into a new month now, so we have a different energy, and this energy is a little bit slower compared to March and April, but it's also a little bit faster than January. So the astrology of January was very slow, very sort of lazy, lethargic energy. So if you felt like you didn't want to do anything or you just felt very blur, then it does pick up a little bit. I certainly felt very sort of I treated the Lunar New Year and the Aquarius New Moon as the new year for me, because I felt so unaccomplished during January and actually already feel a little bit more energetic for February. So let's run down for the week. And we're going to start with Aries. So if you're an Aries, then on the 3rd of February, Mercury in Aquarius in your 11th house will be trining Jupiter in Gemini in your 3rd house. So this is a really big focus on the big picture here and a kind of dream big energy. So it's a good time to come up with some very exciting experiences, especially if you want to communicate with your friends more. So it could be that you are maybe reaching out to a networking contact for career, or you're actually reaching out to a friend and having an exciting experience there. Again, the focus on dreaming big here is really nice. So you might want to plan a holiday with a friend or have something in the diary that just feels really exciting to you. Because on the 4th of February, Jupiter actually goes direct in Gemini in your 3rd house. So this is great opportunity and abundance, and should I use the word luck when it comes to the 3rd house of communication. So obviously Gemini is the 3rd house and this is all very Mercury. So this is a good time to really get things off your chest and speak your truth, but also a great time to, use social media as maybe a platform to grow your business or your career, or you could also use a dating app for romance as well. It's generally a very good kind of time to also be productive and have a writing project you're working on too. So there's a lot of opportunity and abundance with that as well. On the same day, Venus actually enters your sign in Aries in the 1st house of self. So this is going to make you very magnetic and attractive, really harmonious energy, ability to manifest things more easily, and generally people seeing you in a more favourable light. So great time to go after what you want, including love. Venus is debilitated in Aries, so it's not as nice as if it was in Pisces, for example, which it was. But it's still, it's still going to be nice for you. So use that energy combined with Jupiter in Gemini, for example, to maybe use a dating app for romance or some way of communicating and getting your point across. Then on the 5th of February, the moon in Taurus in your 2nd house will be sextiling Mars in Cancer in the 4th house. So the emotions of the moon in Taurus can energize you, and that Mars in Cancer can kind of give you that motivation to take action. So obviously Mars in Cancer, it's in its fall, it's not the most motivating energy as if it was in, for example, something like Aries or Scorpio. However, you can use the energy of that Mars in Cancer to kind of just push you ahead and energize you. In that 2nd house and 4th house, this could be something to do with finances and family. So you could feel motivated to sort something out with your family through finances and vice versa. On the 6th, the moon in Gemini in the 3rd house trines Pluto in Aquarius in your 11th house. So a good time to empower yourself emotionally with that moon in Gemini, and also channel some really passionate energy, like something you can transform for the better or some kind of just cause with that Pluto in Aquarius in the 11th house. Again, something nice to do with friendships would be good here, or the way that you're communicating with your friendships or networking contacts. Then on the 7th, Venus in Aries in the 1st house is sextile Pluto in Aquarius in the 11th house. So this could suggest some emotional bonds with others can be strengthened during this time with Venus in Aries, and you can be a bit more comfortable with kind of intimacy on that level as well with the Venus energy. But with the sextile Pluto in Aquarius, which is all about that transformation and humanitarianism, passions are very high here. So it could be a very passionate day to go after what you want, and a good day to feel really sort of connected to your friends as well. Then on the 8th, the moon in Cancer in the 4th house of home and family squares Venus in Aries in your 1st house again. So you might be a little bit more stubborn here with that moon in Cancer, and you need to be a bit more willing to budge as well. Otherwise, you're going to get sort of stuck in quicksand, especially with the Venus in Aries. So it's a good time to be a little bit more loose and a bit more flexible than normal. Then on the 9th, the Sun in Aquarius in the 11th house is conjunct Mercury in Aquarius in the 11th house. So ideas can really flourish during this time. You could feel excited about things on the horizon, especially again to do with friendships, networking contacts, or just having a sense of joy and opportunity in your life. You just feel there's opportunity coming towards you. And on the same day, Mars in Cancer in the 4th house trines Saturn in Pisces in the 12th house. So because of that Mars in Cancer, as I mentioned, it is still retrograding, it's in its fall, energy might be a bit off. But you can feel a bit more disciplined with that Saturn in Pisces, so you can set the boundaries that you feel are right for you during this time, especially to do with family and your mental health. So you might need to put some things in place to say, look, I love you guys, but I have to do this for myself, to set some boundaries. And it kind of just goes from there. So overall, Aries, you've got a pretty nice week actually, because Venus goes into your sign, which will give you harmony and make you magnetic and attractive. And you generally have some good energy when it comes to communication and productivity with Jupiter direct in Gemini as well. So I hope you enjoyed that reading, and I'll move on to Taurus. Hi Taurus, how are you doing? So this is the weekly horoscope for the 3rd of February to the 9th of February, a whole new month, and let's just get into it. So the 3rd of February, we have Mercury in Aquarius in your 10th house, trining Jupiter in Gemini in your 2nd house. So this is a really, really good time to focus on the big picture when it comes to your finances and your career. You know, very kind of dream big energy. So come up with some exciting experiences or exciting plan that can really help you communicate with that Mercury in Aquarius about your career and your finances. Maybe a good time to ask for a raise, for example. Then on the 4th, Jupiter actually goes direct in Gemini in your 2nd house of finances. So now it's direct, we have more action, we can feel a little bit more goal orientated again, rather than just thinking about the goals, we're actually going after them. And it's really nice as well because Jupiter is the planet of abundance and opportunity, expansion and luck as well. So that expansion could hint at, a salary increase or getting more money, and also more opportunity when it comes to your money as well. Then on the same day, Venus enters Aries in your 12th house. So Venus is moving from Pisces into Aries, where it's a bit more debilitated, so it's not as nice. However, it is still very sort of let's go for it. It's more sort of let's fight for the people that we care about and what we love. In the 12th house of mental health, you could feel like standing up for yourself more, standing up for others around you, and also feeling a little bit more sort of like, yes, I am going for it, more aggressive with, perfecting your mental health, and also trying to work on maybe subconscious beliefs around manifestation as well. On the 5th, the moon in Taurus in your 1st house is going to be sextiling Mars in Cancer in the 3rd house. So these emotions from that moon in Taurus can really energize you, and you can use that Mars in Cancer as a motivation to take action. Although Mars is retrograding and it's in its fall in Cancer, you can still use some of its energy. So with that 1st house and the 3rd house of communication, maybe a good time to communicate to somebody about something that's bothering you, it's on your mind, something that's really trying to, basically just weigh you down, really, and use that as motivation to take action and really just say, I don't want this in my life anymore. On the 6th, the moon in Gemini in the 2nd house is trining Pluto in Aquarius in that 10th house of career. So really empower yourself emotionally with that moon in Gemini and channel some passionate energy that humanitarian Pluto brings into something that you can transform for the better. So again, finances in the 2nd house and 10th house of career. Think about how you emotionally feel when it comes to finances and your career. On the 7th, Venus in Aries in the 12th house sextiles Pluto and Aquarius again in the 10th house. So some emotional bonds with others can strengthen here, especially with your career, maybe some co-workers or a boss, for example. You can be a little bit more comfortable with feeling more sort of relaxed around them. Passions can run really high with this Venus in Aries, so there might be some subconscious beliefs hidden there about your career. So it's a very good time to maybe communicate them or try to unravel the story here, but you could have some subconscious issues that are blocking you from really excelling and transforming your career for the better. On the 8th, the moon in Cancer in the 3rd house squares Venus in Aries in the 12th house. So that moon in Cancer with that Venus in Aries is a bit of stubborn energy. So you could be a little bit more sort of like hard-headed about something. So you might need to be more flexible, willing to budge. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck, or someone else is just not going to compromise, and then it's just not going to go anywhere. With the 3rd house and the 12th house, this could be something to do with communication, and it's kind of affecting your mental health, and you just feel a bit like, I'm not getting through to you right now, and it can be irritating. So you might have to be the one that unfortunately moves out and walks into the road because someone else can't walk single file. Then on the 9th, Sun in Aquarius in the 10th house, conjunct Mercury in Aquarius in the 10th house. This is great for career. Again, ideas can really flourish here. You can feel excited about things on the horizon with your career. You feel like things are going to transform for the better, being more innovative with your career as well. This is a very good week for career, basically, Taurus. But yeah, it's quite nice energy. Then Mars in Cancer in the 3rd house, trine Saturn and Pisces in the 11th house. So energy might be a little bit off here. Again, as I mentioned, Mars in Cancer is retrograding. It's in its fall. It's not great. But you can feel a bit more disciplined with that Saturn in Pisces. So set some boundaries during this time. Make sure the energy feels right for you. In the 3rd house, your 11th house could be communicating with a social networking contact for career, or it could be that you're speaking to friends about something and you're saying, look, I don't feel great, but I kind of need to set a boundary here. Something along those lines, basically. So Taurus, that was your week. It's going to be really interesting when Jupiter goes direct in Gemini in your 2nd house of finances, because great abundance for money, but also you have a lot to focus on career with Mercury in Aquarius, well, basically anything Aquarius really. So it's going to be nice energy for you. So hopefully we get a bit of sort of expansion when it comes to career and finances. So I hope you enjoyed that video, and I'm going to move on to Gemini. Hi Gemini, how are you doing? So this is the weekly horoscope for the 3rd of February to the 9th of February, and big week for you because Jupiter goes direct in your sign, so that's going to be very exciting and lucky. But let's just get into it. So on the 3rd, Mercury in Aquarius in your 9th house trines Jupiter in Gemini in your 1st house. So really focus on the big picture here and sort of dream big, you know, come up with some exciting experiences when it comes to traveling, maybe thinking about, you know, I really want to travel somewhere far flung and, you know, very far from you. You could also be thinking about, you know, study opportunities, going back to study for your career, for example, or, you know, trying to focus on what is really going to make you the most standout person in the lineup of whatever. On the 4th of February, Jupiter goes direct in Gemini in your 1st house of self. So it's been retrograding, which means that you're evaluating your goals and dreams a little bit more, but now we're actually going for them. It's action, it's direct. Also in the 1st house of self, this is extremely lucky as well. So this actually makes you one of the luckiest zodiac signs of the year, alongside with Cancer later in the year. This is really lovely energy because it is also abundance and opportunity. So use this time until June the 9th to really go after what you want when it comes to, you know, your identity, your appearance, your goals, how you are showing up in the world. Really use that energy. On the same day, Venus enters Aries in your 11th house as well. So this is really great energy for social networking contacts with career and also friendships. Venus is a bit debilitated in Aries. It's not as nice as when it was in Pisces, for example. However, it's still very sort of like action orientated and, you know, let's go for what we want. On that same day as Jupiter direct in Gemini, it's just a day of really going for what you want. And of course, this period will stretch throughout the month as well. So yeah, I really love this energy. On the 5th, the moon in Taurus in the 12th house sextiles Mars in Cancer in your 2nd house. So emotions can really energize you here with this moon in Taurus. You can use this as a motivation to take action, especially to do with your money and your mental health. It could be that finances are bothering you with debt, or you can't afford something you really want. And so it can debilitate your mental health. So use the emotions that maybe are making you feel, you know, some type of way to actually motivate you to kind of change your plans with money. On the 6th, the moon in Gemini in the 1st house trines Pluto in Aquarius in that 9th house. So use that moon in Gemini to really empower yourself emotionally, especially internally with how you're feeling, and channel it into some passionate energy, into something you can transform for the better with that Pluto in Aquarius, especially something spiritual, or something that will really expand your cultural and spiritual beliefs. I think that's going to be a good time for you to kind of just think a bit more on that. On the 7th, Venus in Aries in that 11th house sextiles Pluto and Aquarius in the 9th house. So you could have some emotional bonds here with others that are strengthened, you know, especially in that 11th house of friendships, or like a social networking contact, for example. And you can be more comfortable with them as well, feeling more intimate with them, feeling there is some kind of spiritual bond or kind of common ground with them. And passion can be very high here with that Venus in Aries. So this could be an interesting day for you when it comes to friendships. On the 8th, the moon in Cancer in the 2nd house will be squaring Venus in Aries in the 11th house. So you might be a little bit more stubborn than usual about something, and you need to be willing to budge. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck in quicksand, basically. With that 2nd house and the 11th house, could be something to do with finances and friendships. It could be that your friends want you to pay for something and you're like, no, mate, I ain't got the money. Or it just becomes a bit sort of like, someone's going to have to compromise here, maybe put some more money into this pot. Something to do with finances is affecting your friendships in this way. On the 9th, the Sun in Aquarius in the 9th house is conjunct Mercury in Aquarius in the 9th house. So your ideas around spiritual matters, travel, study, knowledge, feeling very philosophical can really flourish, and you could feel really excited about things on the horizon, especially because that 9th house is very sort of Jupiter, and you also have Jupiter direct in Gemini right now. So it could be a really good day for just dreaming really big and thinking big. Then on the same day, Mars in Cancer in that 2nd house is trining Saturn in Pisces in the 10th house. 2nd house of 10th house, again, money, career, energy might be off because that Mars in Cancer, it's in its fall, it's retrograding at the moment. But you could feel a bit more disciplined with that Saturn in Pisces. So a good time to set some boundaries around your career and your finances and feel, you know, intuitively, this is the right thing for me to do at this time. So use this as a good time to just say, here's my line in the sand, especially with money. I've got to do it. So this week for you, Gemini, is going to be very, very interesting because obviously Jupiter goes direct in your sign, which is exciting and lucky, but you also have some good energy when it comes to friendships and a little bit of focus on your money and figuring out what you want to do with that as well. So I hope you enjoyed that reading, and I'll move on to Cancer. Hi Cancer, how are you doing? So this is the weekly horoscope from February the 3rd to February the 9th, and let's just get into it. So on the 3rd, Mercury in Aquarius in your 8th house is trining Jupiter in Gemini in your 12th house. So this is a good time to focus on the bigger picture and dream big. Come up with some exciting kind of experiences and opportunities for yourself, especially when it comes to, you know, I would say focusing on, you know, really breaking down any chains or restrictions in your life, with the 8th house, which can be really about transformation and like kind of ending things or investing for the future, and that 12th house of mental health and subconscious definitely could be an energy of trying to either communicate or, you know, working on breaking down some kind of barrier that you've put up. And that could be really exciting for you because you can kind of see, hey, I'm becoming a little bit more free in this area. On the 4th, Jupiter goes direct in Gemini in your 12th house of mental health. So Jupiter is the planet of expansion and abundance. When it's direct, we take action and we actually sort of thinking about our goals. Like when it retrogrades, we actually do something about it. And in Gemini, in that 3rd house, communication, you know, we're really kind of like going for it, especially when it comes to communicating. In the 12th house of mental health and the subconscious, you could have a lot of sort of opportunity here again to not only break down those boundaries and fears and chains, as I mentioned before, but it could also be just a nice energy when it comes to improving your mental health and feeling more joy in your life. And, you know, I would say reaching out to people, having less of a hermit type of experience now. Then Venus enters Aries on the same day in your 10th house of career. This is great harmony when it comes to your career. Really lovely energy, because not only will you appear more favorable to people at work, you also just feel a little bit more like you feel good about work. So a really good time to, you know, ask for something or try to put your best foot forward, especially because Aries is a leader, so you could come across as more reliable during this time. Venus is debilitating Aries, so it's not as nice as Pisces, but it's still a good kind of energy to really go for it and be action orientated. On the 5th, the moon in Taurus in your 11th house sextiles Mars and Cancer in your 1st house of self. So these emotions can really energize you. You can use that as motivation to really take action. This could be something to do with friendships, or it could be like a networking contact at work where you feel like you need to put your best sort of like foot forward, especially with that 1st house of self of Mars in Cancer. You could be trying to show somebody that you are reliable, or you're the one person that they can trust. On the 6th, moon in Gemini in the 12th house trines Pluto in Aquarius in the 8th house. So again, with this kind of energy of the subconscious, but also this transformation, empower yourself emotionally and channel some really passionate energy here that Pluto in Aquarius brings into something you can transform for the better. So again, it seems to me this week you're focusing on, you know, trying to get rid of any sort of darkness or any negative energy in order for you to improve yourself and others around you. On the 7th, Venus in Aries in the 10th house sextiles Pluto and Aquarius in the 8th house. You know, passion can run very high here, especially with that 8th house of kind of physical intimacy. But here with the Venus in Aries in the 10th house, this is more of a strengthening or understanding about your investments and savings when it comes to your career and how you're focusing on the future with that. You could feel really, really passionate about, you know, working on your career so you can invest in the future, or feeling like you need some kind of stability in your life around this time. But with that Pluto and Aquarius 8th house, could be a bit passionate. On the 8th, the moon in Cancer in the 1st house of self squares Venus in Aries in that 10th house. So this is very stubborn energy, especially with career. So you might want to compromise because you don't want to end up saying, hey, I'm not going to budge. And then someone else says, yeah, me neither. And then it becomes a bit of a contest. So you might be the one that has to compromise, unfortunately. And you know, if you show that you can compromise, it kind of gives you an air of maturity in your career. And again, because Venus in Aries is in that 10th house, you are looked on favorably and like, you know, you're mature, you know, they know what they're doing, that kind of energy. On the 9th, the Sun in Aquarius in the 8th house is conjunct Mercury in Aquarius in the 8th house. So ideas around investments and how to transform your energy for the future can really flourish here. You could feel really excited actually about things on the horizon, and you could really be communicating that with somebody as well, or trying to focus on your relationships and how you're focusing on investing them in the future too. On the same day, Mars in Cancer in the 1st house trines Saturn in Pisces in the 9th house. So Mars in Cancer, obviously not great for you as a Cancer, but it's also retrograding and in its fall. So this is just energy definitely might be off right now. But you can feel a bit more disciplined with setting boundaries around your own spiritual kind of energy and practice, setting boundaries that you feel is right for you during this time. You could also definitely be trying to take some space for yourself, or saying, hey, look, I want to travel or do this in that 9th house because I need to do it. Otherwise, I'm going to be like stir crazy. Energy is going to be completely off for the whole month if I don't do this. So you could be thinking about that. Overall, Cancer, you have a real focus on kind of breaking down some, I keep using the word chains because in my head I have this feeling of chains, but breaking down some walls when it comes to your mental health and trying to transform for the better. You could also have some focus on your career as well, and a little bit of energy when it comes to, your mental health really. So I hope you enjoyed that reading, and I'll move on to Leo.